Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about life after divorce, so 7+ years later. Wanted to do this video also to document that 7+ years later I'm actually okay. Eventually I have landed on my feet. I've landed and I am cool and okay now with my life, and I am extremely happy where I am at. I think that the key or magic to where I am at now in my life is because I have learned so much from the last 7 years of my life, and it's almost like I went through the 7 stages of grief in 7 years. So I did a timeline, so I've got notes here. I did a timeline of my life, sort of aligned with the 7 stages of grief, or every year there's almost like something major that happens in my life that led me to where I am now. I am hoping that this video will help a number of people thinking about divorce, going through divorce, and who have their divorce finalized and now rebuilding their lives. Quite frankly, I am not the best person to ask about relationships because I'm a divorced person. I am just sharing this information that towards the end you will be okay. Like in life, everything is relative. Everyone's experience will be totally different. I can't even imagine how people who have kids and how they are managing that divorce. Just to give context, I was married for 14 years. We didn't have kids. He had grown-up kids from his first marriage, but we didn't. We had pets. And somehow that made the split and the settlement less painful. It was still very painful, but relative to all the other experiences of people that I know of, we went through the process with less animosity or anger towards each other. I personally know about 5 people in my social circle that, one, are thinking about divorce, going through divorce, and they've just been through divorce. And I think there are a lot of people within my age range that are going through that right now. It's very sad. So I can always relate to what they go through, or because I have been through that process myself. I could easily just end this video now and say I'm fine and I'm good, I'm well. This is now like the stages that I've went through that I think that has led me to where I am at. 7 stages and then 7 years. So just perfect alignment, right? So the 7 stages are: 1 is shock and denial, then 2nd is pain and guilt, and 3rd is anger and bargaining, 4th is depression, reflection, and loneliness. 5th one is the upward turn. So that's when you start moving away from all the pain. And then 6 is reconstruction and working through. And then 7 is acceptance and hope. You could go through these stages quickly or longer. Over the 7 years, I've been through these stages over and over. So it's almost like, it's a loop. So you go through it and then you go back to the first base, and then you go through the stage again and then you're back. So it's almost like a loop. So on my first year, I focused on moving house, settling, getting myself organized in my new house. So I was busy with shopping, unboxing, just making my new house a home for me. So that was very big on the first year. I've dated here and there, and I think that's one key is go dates but don't make any commitments. I think, like, I'll show you why I am suggesting that you go on dates, but if possible, don't go on dates. Date and have fun but don't commit. Which is really not a good thing to say. It's best that you actually go through. So if I'm going to advise myself at that time, I would probably say don't go on dates at all. Focus on yourself. I've made a lot of mistakes over the years, so now I've learned my lesson anyway. But I am dating someone now and I'm very happy with that relationship. Second stage is pain and guilt, and on that 2nd year I actually focused on dating, shopping, I went on dates, but I was still so unhappy. So I did so much shopping. Every week, every Friday and then weekends, I would go out shopping, filling the void by things, by material things. And I would be dining out, going out with friends, and just spending money on useless and unnecessary things. When I think about it now and I look back at my bank statements over the years, I'm thinking why I have spent so much money on useless stuff. Third stage is anger and bargaining. On my third year, I started to search for meaning. Of course, I was angry. I was asking, why me? This is not good. What have I done? I was bargaining with God. There are a few things that I'm wrestling with my God. And there's a lot of search for meaning, and I got into new age stuff, which is now like I'm over that. So I've got into oracles and lots of other new age stuff, because I was searching for meaning. I didn't find anything at all, honestly. I did find something, but I didn't find anything worthwhile and meaningful now when I look back. And I think I just wasted so much. Again, I wasted so much money on buying books and like a lot of those oracle cards. And anyway, so fourth year was interesting because this is a stage where I've gone through a major depression, reflection, and loneliness. This was also the year where my divorce was finalized. So my ex wanted to marry someone, so he had to we have to finalize the divorce papers. I was happy to do that, but that was also the time where I lost my job. I went through shit. Like, that was the worst year. Like, I went through real depression, and I'm one of those people who will talk about it to some friends but not really talk about it, or I didn't want any of their help. And so I became more recluse. So I stayed home, didn't want to go out, didn't want to talk to anyone. And that's also the worst time to date. And that's also the time when I realized the magnitude of that divorce. That's probably where it hit me. So 4 years later, I thought I was over it, but then I went through the depths of the loss and the divorce. And that's probably the time where I was the loneliest and saddest. I think I coped by eating. I didn't want to shop because if I keep shopping, I don't have a job. Like, I have savings, but I don't want to just, you know, use up everything. A very depressive year. And so the fifth year is the upward turn. Eventually, I got calmer and more organized. That's when I started a new job in a different industry. So new people, new social interaction altogether. And that's also the time where I went back to church, got back to God and reading my Bible, having my devotion. That was, to me, the turnaround of everything. So the fifth year was key in moving me towards the pit of that depression. I also met new people, so my social circle changed. I kept very, very few friends from my old life, and I kept those who I know appreciated me, helped me, and supported me, and there are very few of them. Once I moved to sort of the new life, the upward turn, I met new people. A couple of them are now part of my sort of new life. The sixth year is the reconstruction. Sixth year, I actually started to seek more practical solutions to my life. So I focused on finances big time, and minimalism, and simplifying life. So once I started on focusing that, I think that's where eventually my life sort of started to align and move in a direction that I wanted, because then I got control of my affairs in life. So finance and life in general, organizing everything in my house, having a system. Actually, I got to a stage where, okay, this is my life now. I've got to really make a life that I am happy with. So where I started to think more about my future. At one point, I thought I should move to America, be with my brother. Went through about 6 months of really looking to immigration lawyers, but eventually I decided I am going to stay here in Australia. The 7th stage is acceptance and hope. I am past the 7th stage now. So really have a brand new life. Recently, it'll probably be the change was more from end of last year. The start of a really big change was December last year, and up to this point I am living and moving through a life that I wanted, or a life that I somehow designed. I'm happy where I am. I feel like I've become whole again. I found myself. From this point onwards, over the divorce. I can talk about the divorce without any pain or sadness. I don't miss it. Divorces, I always believe that no matter how flat you make a pancake, there are always two sides to it. And so I am going to be accountable and own my shortcomings as well in that relationship. That's sort of the 7 stages or 7 years of my life. I am the worst person to ask for advice when you are going through a separation or going through the divorce, because I am a divorcee, but I am just sharing to you my experience. So if you can pick up something from it, from what I am saying and telling, then that's great. But otherwise, my situation, your situation, every other one's situation is so different from mine. There are perhaps more variables in your end, especially if you've got kids to talk about and to negotiate and to think about. That alone changes the situation differently. Pretty sure you that will be a difficult decision. I can't even say you've got to be strong, you know, this will pass. I can't say that, but I would like to say that you'll be fine. You just have to be strong. But it's hard, because then it's probably not that the advice you want to hear. But much as some of my friends think that because I have been through the divorce that I am able to provide a good advice, I will always have a disclaimer that don't listen to me. I think that it is best if you get advice from people who have solid relationships or who have a solid marriage, and ask them what they did to keep that relationship going, rather than asking people like me who have been through divorce, because that is an indication that we don't know about relationships. I have so much failed. The fact that I have a failed relationship means that I haven't figured it out perfectly, and I think that I'll never will. But I say this, that I think the key to having a good quote-unquote relationship, in opinion, the key to a good relationship for me is one, when I get to a point where I really, I mean, it's a cliche, but when I started to know myself and love myself and take care of myself better, that's, I think, is the key to having a healthier relationship. I'm speaking from where I am at now in relationships, in that the moment that when I started focusing more on myself and on my purpose, so I got preoccupied with living the best life that I can on my own, that to me, that is attractive to the other party. So the saying that you can't give what you don't have, it's so true, because if you don't have that love and respect for yourself, you can never ever give that to anyone. And the fact that I feel like I have that now, then I am able to provide and give that to a partner. And I'm not happy that I went through the divorce, but I'm glad about the learnings that I went through. But boy, it was such a painful, the first 4 years, those were really tough years. If life is going to be like you go through the loop over and over, but I think I now know that you go through the pain and then eventually you'll get out of. Life is a cycle, and now I am more aware that you go through that stage, that eventually you'll get out of it, and then you know, it'll probably be a different area of your life, and then you go through another problem, and then you get out of it, and it's just going to be a loop. So to me, I think as you get older, you'll learn and find your way. It could be quick, it could be long. It depends on how much fortitude and strength that you've got. In my case, the more I resisted the pain and change, the longer it took for me to go through that pain. But the more I focused on what is it that I really want and go through that, the path is not easy. I mean, I have to go through it, because the more you avoid the issue and go around it, it's like you'll always go back to the same issue, so to the same problem anyway. So why don't you just go through it, step through it, walk through, and eventually you'll get out bruised and battered and really sad. But once you get there, there's freedom behind that. Of course there's a lot more to the story I'm telling, but towards the end, the whole point of this video is I am fine, I'm good, I'm well now. When I look back at my life when I was married, I don't feel sad anymore. I miss some elements in it, but I don't actually wish to go back. I'm happy where he is now and he's settled. That makes me happy. I'm really so glad that he's not in that stage. Alright, that's quite a heavy one. Anyway, thank you all for watching. See you again next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.